Oh, I see. So when you see a product on QVC, you're like, well, if QVC is selling it, it must be legit. That's clever. But what about building your own? That sounds like a marathon, not a sprint.
Think of brands like Apple. They've consistently delivered top-notch products for decades.
They've earned that reputation, haven't they? You know you're getting quality with Apple.
In this podcast, we dive straight into the best insights from the top 100 business books ever written. We'll break down core concepts and key takeaways to help you succeed. I'm Noah, and with me is Eva. Well, let's cut to the chase.
Are you ready to unlock some serious persuasion secrets? Because today, we're diving deep into the world of marketing psychology.
Ooh, getting inside people's heads, huh? I'm game. Where are we starting?
We're going straight to the source. The OG influencer himself, Joseph Sugarman.
Sugarman. Now, there's a name that takes me back. Didn't he write, like, the marketing Bible or something?
Definitely wrote one of them, and he walked the walk, too. This is the guy who convinced millions to buy blue blocker sunglasses.
Right. Those ads in every magazine, they were everywhere. I almost bought a pair myself.
The man knew how to sell.
Mm-hmm.
But he also understood the psychology behind why people buy, and that's our focus today.
So we're talking about, like, the subtle things that make us reach for our wallet.
Exactly. Sugarman laid out 10 powerful psychological triggers in his book, Triggers, and we're breaking them all down.
All right, I'm ready for these marketing mind games.
The best part, you don't need an MBA to use this stuff. You'll start noticing these triggers everywhere.
Oh, really? Like where?
Think about everyday conversations, your favorite shows, and of course, how those clever brands are vying for your attention.
Okay, so it's like a hidden code everyone's using, and we're about to crack it wide open.
You got it. Ready for a trigger? #1.
Hit me.
All right, this one's a head scratcher. Highlight your flaws. Yep, you heard that right. Flaunt them, don't hide them.
Wait, seriously? Seems a bit counterintuitive, doesn't it?
It does. But Sugarman found that being upfront about your limitations can actually build trust. It's all about transparency.
So it's like saying, hey, we're not perfect, nobody's perfect, and that makes you more relatable.
Bingo. People are more likely to trust someone who's real, flaws and all. It's refreshing, right?
It's true. I'd rather have an honest conversation than deal with someone who's putting on a show.
Exactly. And this applies to brands, too. Remember that classic Avis campaign where they fully embraced being #2 to Hertz?
We try harder. Yeah, that one stuck with me.
By owning their perceived flaw, they turned it into a strength. They became the relatable underdog.
Smart move. And speaking of underdogs, didn't Volkswagen do something similar back in the day?
Oh, you mean the Think Small campaign? Iconic. They took what was seen as a negative, their car size, and flipped the script.
They highlighted fuel efficiency and being easy to park, right? Suddenly, small was cool.
Precisely. So what flaws can you embrace to connect with people on a deeper level? Could be a fun thought experiment.
Ooh, I like that. All right, hit me with trigger #2. What's next on our persuasion adventure?
Trigger #2 is all about credibility. Seems obvious, but it's amazing how many companies get this one wrong.
How do you mean? Isn't it just about being trustworthy?
It is, but it's not as simple as slapping trust us on everything. People can spot a phony a mile away.
Oh, for sure. Like that used car salesman with that too good to be true deal. My spidey senses are tingling.
Exactly. Sugarman knew that real credibility takes more than empty boasts. He talked about borrowing it and building your own.
Borrowing credibility. Sounds intriguing. Fill me in.
Think about it like an endorsement from someone you already trust. Sugarman uses the example of QVC, which makes sense.
Oh, I see. So when you see a product on QVC, you're like, well, if QVC is selling it, it must be legit.
Right. You're subconsciously transferring some of that QVC trust onto the product. It's like a shortcut to credibility.
That's clever. But what about building your own? That sounds like a marathon, not a sprint.
It definitely takes time. Think of brands like Apple. They've consistently delivered top-notch products for decades.
They've earned that reputation, haven't they? You know you're getting quality with Apple.
Exactly. Their credibility is rock solid. Now, Nike's another interesting case. They've mastered both approaches.
How so?
Well, they've built their own credibility through years of innovation and athletic excellence. But they also borrow it.
By partnering with superstar athletes, Michael Jordan, Serena Williams, the list goes on.
Smart, right. They leverage the star power of these athletes to reinforce their image as the top dog in sportswear.
It's like a double whammy of credibility. So to build your own, you need consistency, authenticity, and walking the talk.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Every interaction, every product launch, every post, it all contributes.
Makes you think twice about that rush social media post, right?
It definitely should. But before we move on, let's pause for a moment and think about this idea of credibility. Have you ever been swayed by a brand's reputation? Good or bad?
Oh, absolutely. We've all got those brands we trust implicitly and those we wouldn't touch with a 10-foot pole.
It's remarkable how much power a brand's reputation holds. It can make or break them.
Word. All right, ready to tackle the next trigger. Bring it on.
All right, moving on from credibility, let's talk about Sugarman's trigger, #3. Be uber specific. This one's all about the power of details.
Oh, I can get behind that. I'm all about those little details, the specifics that make all the difference.
Sugarman argues that when you're specific, it conveys a level of confidence and expertise that vague claims just can't match.
Right, because anyone can say, this product is amazing, but when you back it up with specifics, it's like, okay, they really know their stuff.
Exactly. He gives this great example with toothpaste. Imagine you're trying to sell toothpaste. Which claim is going to resonate more? New dentists everywhere use and recommend this toothpaste, or 92% of new dentists use and recommend this toothpaste.
Oh, that specific number, that 92%, definitely makes it more believable. It's like you've actually done the research.
Exactly. It's not just some empty claim. It feels more credible, more data-driven. People are more likely to trust a hard number.
Plus, those vague marketing claims we see all the time drive me crazy. Makes you feel younger, tastes like homemade. What does that even mean?
It's also subjective, right? But when you get specific, like Dove did with their soap, contains 1 quart moisturizing cream, that's something tangible. You know what you're getting.
Exactly. Or take M&M's, for instance. Their tagline, melts in your mouth, not in your hand. Brilliant. It perfectly captures the product's selling point, and it's memorable.
See, specificity is key. So how can we, even outside of marketing, apply this uber-specific principle? Could be in storytelling, giving feedback, anything, really.
It's about ditching those vague generalities and using concrete details, painting a vivid picture for your audience.
So instead of saying, I had a great vacation, you'd say something like, I spent my mornings hiking in the redwoods and my evenings stargazing by the campfire.
There you go. Now you've got my attention. Specificity equals engagement. What's next?
Trigger #4. Consistency. This one taps into our human desire to be consistent with our past actions and beliefs.
Oh, this is a good one. We like to think we're consistent, right? Even if it means sometimes sticking to our guns when we're in the wrong.
It's true. So how do companies leverage this? Think free trials.
The classic free trial. Amazon Prime, Netflix, they've got this down to a science.
You get that free trial, you start using it, loving it, and boom, next thing you know, you're a paying customer. It's easy to get hooked.
It's not even just about the free stuff. It's about getting you to make that small commitment, which makes you more likely to commit further down the line.
It's like those baby steps towards a larger goal. Start with a small yes and work your way up to those bigger yeses. How about applying that to building new habits?
Love it. Say you want to start exercising more. Instead of going from 0 to 60, start small, maybe just a 10-minute walk every day.
Build that consistency, that routine, and then gradually increase the intensity.
Exactly. Small wins lead to bigger wins. All right, what's the next trigger? Give me something juicy.
All right, you asked for it. Trigger #5. Desire to belong. This one's all about connection, feeling part of something bigger than ourselves.
Oh, I'm all about connection.
Yeah,
It's a basic human need, right? We're social creatures to our core.
Absolutely. And brands are tapping into this big time, creating communities around their products and services.
Oh, for sure. Think Harley Davidson. It's not just owning a bike, it's a whole lifestyle. It's about being part of something bigger.
You're buying into a community, an identity. It's like a badge of honor.
And it's not just those big legacy brands either. Look at Peloton. They've created this whole online fitness community.
Right. People are high-fiving each other through the screen, competing on those leaderboards. It's wild.
It's proof that people crave connection, even in the digital age. We want to feel like we're part of a tribe.
So true. We're hardwired for it. That feeling of belonging was powerful stuff.
No doubt. All right, what's next on our journey through the mind of Joseph Sugarman?
Let's talk about trigger #6, satisfaction conviction. This one's about giving your customers that extra nudge, that reassurance that they're making the right choice.
I like it. It's like you're easing their minds, removing any doubts.
Exactly. It's about going beyond just a great product. It's about that peace of mind, that satisfaction conviction, as Sugarman called it.
Like those love it or your money back guarantees, those really make you feel like, okay, they stand behind their product.
Absolutely. Zappos built an empire on their generous return policy. 365 days, no questions asked. That's confidence.
It completely removes the risk for the customer. You can buy with confidence, knowing you can always return it if it's not a good fit.
And then there's LL Bean, their legendary lifetime guarantee. Talk about making a statement.
They're basically saying, our products are so good they'll last you a lifetime, and if not, we've got you covered. Bold move.
So how can you boost satisfaction conviction? Could be a money-back guarantee, a killer customer service team, really anything that says you can trust us.
It's about going that extra mile to create that trust, that confidence. Love it. Hit me with trigger hashtag 7. I'm ready for more.
Right, trigger hashtag 7 is a biggie. Establish authority. This one taps into our deep-seated tendency to trust figures of authority.
Oh, yeah. This is huge. From doctors and teachers to, well, marketing gurus like Sugarman, we're taught to trust those in positions of authority.
It's ingrained in us from childhood. We might not always like it, but we're wired to respect those we perceive as being in charge.
And that translates to how we make purchasing decisions, too. We're naturally drawn to brands and experts we see as leaders in their field.
It's like that classic IBM slogan, nobody ever got fired for buying IBM. They position themselves as the safe, authoritative choice.
It's like a mental shortcut, right? Don't overthink it. Just go with the trusted name. Makes decision-making easier.
Exactly. And speaking of authority, what about brands like American Express? They've cultivated that air of exclusivity, that you've made it vibe.
Oh, for sure. Pulling out that Amex card is like saying, I've arrived. It's about status, prestige.
It's subtle, but it taps into our desires for recognition and validation. We want to be associated with success.
It's like that scene in a movie where someone flashes a black card and suddenly they're treated like royalty. We all want a piece of that.
You know, it's funny how those status symbols work on us. But sometimes it's not about prestige. It's about appealing to our inner bargain hunter. Which brings us to trigger hashtag 8. Value and proof of value.
Ah, yes. Everyone loves a good deal. It's about showing people they're getting their money's worth, right?
Exactly. We want that feeling of, I got a steal. And Sugarman says sometimes the best way to do that is by actually embracing comparisons.
Really? You'd think you'd want to avoid mentioning the competition, wouldn't you?
You'd think so. But Sugarman was all about transparency. He said, don't shy away from those comparisons. Use them to your advantage.
Interesting. So it's like saying, we're so confident in what we offer, we're not afraid to put it head-to-head with anyone else.
Exactly. Think about Dollar Shave Club. They totally disrupted the razor industry with this approach. They weren't subtle about it at all.
Oh, yeah. They were like, you're paying way too much for razors. Here's a better, cheaper way. And it worked.
Because people love feeling like they're in on the secret, like they're outsmarting the system. Now, another company that does this well is Progressive Insurance.
Progressive. How so?
They actually encourage you to compare their quotes with other companies right on their website. Talk about confidence.
Wow, that's bold. It's like they're saying, we know our rates are good. Go ahead, check them out.
It's all about transparency, giving people the information they need to make an informed decision. And it builds trust, too.
Makes sense. So it's not always about hiding your competition. Sometimes it's about using them to highlight your own strengths.
Exactly. All right, ready for trigger hashtag 9? This one's all about that try before you buy feeling.
Oh, I love that. It's like test driving a car. You instantly start picturing yourself behind the wheel.
You got it. It's called feeling of involvement or ownership. When we get to experience something firsthand, we're more likely to commit.
Makes sense. It's like you're already halfway to owning it in your mind.
Precisely. Warby Parker does this brilliantly with their home try-on program. Get to try on different frames, get feedback from friends. It's fun.
By the time you choose, you've already invested time and energy. You're emotionally attached.
And then there's IKEA. They've taken this concept to a whole new level.
Ah, yes. The IKEA effect. There's just something so satisfying about building your own furniture, even if it takes 3 hours and a few tears.
It's true. You feel a sense of pride, of ownership.
Yeah.
Because you put in the work. It's more than just a purchase. It's an accomplishment.
So it's about finding ways to get people involved, to create that sense of ownership, even before they've actually bought anything.
All right, ready for our final trigger. This one's a big one.
Hit me with it. I'm ready.
Trigger. Hashtag 10. Greed. Now, before you judge, let's be honest. We all love a good deal.
Oh, absolutely. That feeling of getting a bargain, it's like a rush.
Right. It taps into that primal desire for abundance, for getting more than what we paid for. And marketers know how to use that to their advantage.
Oh yeah. Think Black Friday, flash sales, limited time offers. They all play on that fear of missing out.
Exactly. We see that countdown timer, and suddenly we're adding things to our cart we didn't even know we needed.
It's like our rational brain goes out the window and the gotta have it instinct takes over.
It's true. But here's the thing. Greed doesn't have to be a bad thing. It can be a powerful motivator if it's used ethically.
So it's about finding that sweet spot, creating genuine value, while also tapping into that desire for a good deal.
Exactly. Offer those irresistible deals, but make sure they're actually valuable to your customer. And never underestimate the power of exclusivity.
Oh, absolutely. People are drawn to things that feel special, limited edition, like they're part of an exclusive club.
And there you have it. 10 powerful psychological triggers, straight from the marketing master himself, Joseph Sugarman.
Wow, that was quite a deep dive. We covered a lot of ground today.
We did. But the key takeaway here is that these triggers, they're not just marketing tricks. They're insights into human nature.
They show us how our brains are wired to make decisions. And that's valuable information for everyone, not just marketers.
Exactly. So next time you're about to make a purchase, big or small, pause for a second and ask yourself, what's influencing my decision here?
Is it a compelling story? A sense of belonging? That fear of missing out? Once you start paying attention to these triggers, you'll see them everywhere.
You'll start to understand the why behind the buy, and that's a powerful thing. And hey, if you want to go even deeper, I highly recommend checking out Sugarman's book, Triggers.
It's a classic for a reason. All right, folks, that wraps up our deep dive into the fascinating world of marketing psychology. Until next time, remember, knowledge is power.
And with great power comes great responsibility.